Safety in lacrosse is very important. There are rules to keep you safe and there's equipment to keep you safe. We're going to go over now the things that you can do on the field, that you cannot do on the field, the things you should do on the field, and the things you should not do on the field. Starting with the head, you have a helmet which is protective, and it's a good helmet. It protects you from sticks, but you can never hit anybody with your helmet. So hitting with the helmet is illegal, and it's a dangerous thing to do. You must protect the top of your head. Like in football, you want to make sure you're in a position where you're not going to be hit in the top of the head. You also must hit a player from the front side of their body. So you draw an imaginary line down the middle of each player. You can only body check them from the front side. So if you see the back of their numbers and you can read their jersey, that's an illegal check from behind. You also must hit the person from above the knees to the shoulder. Any check from below the knees is an illegal body check. The third area where you can get into trouble on the field is, unlike football, if a player is in a disadvantaged position, you cannot hit him. So there's a penalty for excessive use of force. So if Luke is down for the ball and he's unprotected, scooping, Max is not allowed to come in and just hit him as hard as he wants while Luke is in an unprotected position. Now we're going to talk about the things you can do on the field and should do on the field. If the ball is on the ground and two people are contesting for it, the first person to the ball should try and therefore get position in front. Now Max is in a position where he cannot body check Luke because all he's seeing is the back side of him. If they come in facing each other, then they can hit each other, and now the player is going to get possession who comes in and gets on this side of the ball, try and get there and turn around and get position first. So you establish position. If you're both running for the ball from the side, coming at it from the side, now they can collide and use their body. They can hit with the shoulder as long as it's on the front half of their body. Okay. Lacrosse is a fast sport. It's a violent sport at times, but you are protected with your equipment, and you've got to be ready at all times. Know the rules, play by the rules, and have fun.
Creating a lacrosse ball is the most essential skill in becoming a great lacrosse player. Too often younger kids, when they first start playing, grip the stick with their top hand in the palm of their hand. Right here you have no control over your stick and you're not able to cradle efficiently. The key here is get that top hand and have the stick in your fingertips. When you grip it, you want your fingertips to be loose, so you can get the motion you needed, but you can also control your stick. The other thing you don't want to do is have the bottom hand control your stick. A lot of times kids will come in with a two-handed cradle where the bottom hand is the dominant hand. Make sure that your top hand is the dominant hand, and this bottom hand is just used for guidance. So if you want to be an effective cradler, make sure you have your hands loose, that the stick is located in the fingertips of your hand, and that your top hand is the dominant force. Being able to cradle and protect your stick with one hand on it is an essential key for any attackman. The key here is there's three things. You need to make your shoulders turned, you need to have your arm in the right place, but you also have to have a non-rhythmic cradle. Now first talk about the shoulder. Most of your stick will be protected strictly by turning your shoulder and getting your body in front of the defenseman's stick. The second is getting your arm in the right position. I've had coaches who have said it's fine to put your arm up like this to make sure it's high enough to prevent that wrap check, but I've always been a fan of having your arm down. The key there is if my arm's down here, it's easier for me to get that hand on it and make a pass or a shot. And the third is rhythmic cradles kill attackmen. If I'm sitting here with a big rhythmic cradle, a defenseman's going to be able to time that up and land a check. It's okay to have a big cradle as long as you change motion and it's not rhythmic and consistent. If you can change up your cradle, you can turn your shoulders, protect your stick, and get your arm in the right position, defenseman will not be able to take the ball away from you, and you'll be a great attackman.
Learning to catch in lacrosse is really learning about how to give. We say that there are fighters and there are givers, and when it comes to catching a pass in lacrosse, you want to be a giver. What that means is that you're thinking that the lacrosse ball is more like an egg, and therefore you're giving with your stick. Then you can move into a cradling position before you do anything else. So this is what this looks like, just a simple receiving give. Okay, notice how I went down to get the ball? That's what you want to do. You move your body and you give with your stick. And and then you start to cradle. We also have passes that come across the body, but this is not how you want to catch it. What you want to do is cradle around to the opposite side. So if you have an errant pass that doesn't go where it's supposed to, this is how you catch it. That way you're in the cradling position as soon as you catch the ball. It makes for a much more active game. Last thing I want to talk about is when you are running around a lacrosse field and you get a pass that's not just exactly where you want it, sometimes giving isn't the right thing to do. You might have a defender on you or whatever, and you do need to kind of come at the ball with a little bit more aggression. This takes practice, and it's not necessarily recommended for the first timers. You certainly don't want to do it before you learn how to do the simple giving, but here's what this looks like. You're coming at the ball, you're immediately taking it into a cradling position. It's advantageous when you do have players around you, or it's a situation where you're simply out of position for a simple give. When it comes to passing in lacrosse, body position is everything. You want to make sure that your shoulders are parallel to where you're throwing. It's very much like a baseball motion. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about without a stick, and then we'll take it from there. Your weight's on your back foot, and you're moving forward just like a baseball, okay? Your weight's on your back foot, you move forward, you're in a line with where you're throwing the ball, okay? Once we have a stick, we're talking about the same position, but we have our elbows raised up. The stick head never goes below the front hands, okay? Very important. A lot of beginner players will do this. You don't want to do that. So you got your weight on your back foot, and you step and throw to right where you want the ball to go, okay? It's also important to realize that the stick does not go sideways across your body, not in a pass. In a pass, you're just straight forward like this. Same thing with your opposite motion. Practice this in front of the mirror so that they both look the same. You step and you throw. Shooting is very similar to passing, but as you might expect, it's more intense. What you're doing is roughly the same motion. You're shifting the weight from your back foot to your forward foot as you transfer the weight through the stick and make the shot. The intensity comes from how your body weight's transferred. Just like with a pass, your stick is raised up, your shoulders are parallel to where you're shooting, and you start to move forward, and the weight is transferred through your hips as you bring your stick forward with all of your energy transferring through the head of the stick. Extremely important that you don't get into bad habits like this or this at this young age. You want to keep your stick head up. You can literally put your chin into your shoulder. That's where you're aiming. Your weight comes forward. As you transfer, your arms come through, and the ball gets its maximum velocity.